Welcome to the Real Estate Connecting podcast, where we're bringing investors from across the world to you guys to actually talk about their story and how they became a real estate investor, how their dreams are coming true little by little. And today we have a very, very special guest. Bryan has actually connected me with the different investors, different people, and we're looking to actually make one of the biggest partnerships we can. And we're trying to break a new game to a new play to the game, basically, right? We're developing tiny home communities and stuff, and he's actually in the background trying to help us get some funding. So tell us a little bit about you, Bryan. Everybody that doesn't know, just tell us everything about you in the least amount of time possible.
Oh, well, thanks, Zeke, for inviting me onto your podcast and your platform. Believe it or not, this is my first official podcast ever. So I very appreciate it. So a little bit about me: born and raised here in Baltimore, Maryland. I've been in and out of real estate since 2019. Was introduced to it through my brother, who is a local real estate investor as well as an agent, as well as he's a licensed GC. Back in 2019, he introduced me to it. We partnered up. We have a couple doors underneath our belt, and then I knew, for me, I've always been attracted to real estate because I knew that it creates the most millionaires, and literally, as far as like through the hands of time, as far as there's nothing else that as far as creates generational wealth like real estate. And I always knew that it's a collaborative business, if you will. Like me and you, we met in Pace's community in Gator, and then Sub 2, like as far as like community is the biggest thing and relationships are the biggest thing. There's nothing like what we're a part of, and there's nothing like, as far as this industry being able to be so collaborative and have so many people be able to touch a transaction and make money and make impact. So
that is so awesome. And I love that you said that we connected through the Gator community and Sub 2 with Pace Morby. A lot of people do know who Pace Morby is, and there's a lot of people that actually do not know who Pace Morby. So would you give us a little bit of background information for all of those people that don't know what the Gator method is, what Sub 2 is? Would you give us just a little bit about that?
Yeah, a little tidbit. Pace is a visionary. He's a unicorn of sorts. I can't thank him enough for the opportunity to just able to make money, to make relationships, to change our lives. Gator, just really quickly, is the financial aspect of the community. It's short-term and long-term lending, while Sub 2 is the holistic portion of it. It's buying businesses, buying assets creatively. It's buying cars, planes. He recently just bought a plane, I think for like $0 down, I think payments for like 2 years. And it's really setting the standard and being leaders in this community in the industry, being the industry leaders in a way that no one else has been. So that's a little bit about what Gator and Sub 2 is.
That is awesome, Brad. And something that I would love to point out is how Pace, one single individual, has moved literally thousands of lives, right? It has changed thousands of lives doing this. And I believe that people like Pace, people like you, are actually being industry leaders, bringing something new to the table and actually just helping other people come out of their comfort zone, right? Because a lot of people are set their ways and they never change their ways and they never change their lives. In this case, Pace was one of our mentors. Basically, he's the one that comes and shows us how to do it, right? We become a student. We become one of the best students to where now we're leaders. Whether we like it or not, we're leading people, right? In a good way and a bad way. I believe you're doing it in a very phenomenal way. You're showing people how to do it. You're paving the road for millions of lives, I'm telling you. Because right now we feel like it might be a couple people, a few hundred people. But the more you get into it, the more deals you're doing, the more people, the more impact you're doing. Literally, you're doing a big impact in this industry. With that being said, tell us a little bit more of how everything got started. And I'm not talking about 2019. I'm not talking about 2010. I'm talking about literally when you were 5 years old, when you were a little kid. What were your dreams? What were your goals, man?
I wanted to be, it bounced between, and thank you, you blessed me so much. I really do appreciate those encouraging words. I like to think of myself as somebody who's always been encouraging, and it's always interesting to receive that back. So really, I really am blessed by your words. Thank you, Zeke. But about me, I bounced between. I don't know why. Oh, I think I know why. As far as I wanted to be a cop because my uncle, who was a pivotal figure, he was a correctional officer, and that was like the closest thing that I saw. And then I wanted to be an actor because I love, even still to this day, I love acting. As far as movies, like I'm a huge movie buff.
What's your best? This is like your top movie.
My top movie. I'm so old school, bro. Like as far as like that is concerned, like, and I always use this as a benchmark. Like it's like the Disney classics. It's like Lion King, Aladdin, like the original Jurassic Park. Like I love stuff like that. Like I love like fantasy and fiction. Which like random. I'm supposed to be going to Hawaii for my first time, and apparently. Part of the original Jurassic Park was filmed in Hawaii, so that is so cool. That's actually like a kind of like a full circle moment because me and my brother that introduced me to real estate, we're both big dinosaur buffs. Like we go to see all the Jurassic Park movies and play all of the games and stuff like that. But that's kind of like a dream come true, full circle moment. But the old school stuff, like the stuff like in the 90s, like Aladdin King, Lion King, Jurassic Park, those are like my favorite top movies.
That is,
and anything Marvel. Like I'm a huge MCU fan. Like shout out to the Avengers and all that.
That is awesome. So literally, when you were 5-year-old, 10 years old, you were not even really thinking about real estate. You were thinking of maybe I'll be a cop, maybe a movie actor. And how did that transition go? How was your teenage years actually? What did that look like?
I mean, it was very, I guess, because I grew up in a different time than most people today. Like I was always outside. I was with my friends, or when I became of age, I was very much hard at work. I still have a couple years before I turn 40, and I've been working a long time. I've been working since I've been 13 years old. So I've always kind of had that go-getter mentality. I'm my mom's only child. So for me, like I always wanted to lift that burden off of her. Like I always wanted to be self-sufficient and then make my own money. And fast forward, I might be skipping as far as a little bit ahead as far as the question. Like I've always been the self-development type. Like I've always invested into myself. I always wanted to be continuing to grow and get better, and expand my mindset.
So when did that start? Was that like since you were a little kid, or did that start in your teenage years?
I would say in my teenage years, I would say I got more exposure when I became a young adult. So I don't know if your audience is familiar with the term as far as network marketing. That was my first introduction as far as to personal development, personal growth, training seminars. So like when I was around like 18, 19, around going to college, I got exposed to obviously something different other than college, but a way to invest in yourself, be your own boss, make as much money as you want. So it really came like when I was a young adult, really.
Wow. So and during your teenage years, what kind of like teenager were you? Were you actually very calm? Were you out in the streets? What kind of teenager were you?
I was talkative. I always had a lot of friends, and I still have a lot of those friends to this day. So I was really relaxed and chill. I didn't get in any trouble. I was always respectful to my mom. What else? Like I was like your average teenager. Like I love video games. I'm a huge gamer even still to this day. So I didn't get into any trouble or anything like that. But I was like really focused on wanting to succeed as bad as I could, and then like I always knew that I wanted to be wealthy and be a breed above and a breed apart.
Wow, that is awesome. So you set yourself apart, not just like on your teenage years, but ever since you were a little kid, you were a little bit different as far as like everybody goes, right? Because I had those rebel years where, the marijuana, the drinking, all that. Were you on those teenage years as well, or?
No, I was pretty, and that, mind you, I don't judge, obviously, and everybody has a story, but no, I really didn't partake in any of those things when I was younger. And then when I'm thinking, even when I was a young adult, I was thinking, like, when you think about drinking and all of those things, it's just like, they don't tell you these things when you get older. It's like, bro, sis, like, why rush to do any of those things when once you turn 18, 21, you can do those things forever. Like, no need to rush growing up. You're only a kid once. Like, that was always my mentality. And I'm just like, once you get to this age, this big age, it's like you can never go back and bills will always follow you. So for me, I was a pretty active kid as far as like relationship wise and hanging out and movies and video games and stuff like that and working. So I was like your typical average teenager.
That is so awesome, man. I'm shocked because you get surprised of how many people went through like the super rebel years. A lot of them, like I had a kid when I was 14 years old, right? There's a lot of like kids that actually live in the shades and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, you might take it for granted, but bless your heart, man. You've been through the right trajectory, which that makes me think that you went the college route, right? Did you take a career in college? Did you go to college?
I did it, and then like college, they don't teach you as far as like. So I went to 2 universities. I went to Morgan State University, and then I took a 4-year break, and then I went to Towson University and eventually finished. But I knew that I had the mindset that I still wanted more, and then student loans suck, which they absolutely still do, but they don't tell you like as far as like which is a blessing and a curse. Like when you're dropping classes or dropping courses because you may or may not be passing them or be interested in them, but that also delays you if you're not picking anything back up. So I did 4 years, but then also too because I dropped stuff, so I didn't have quite enough, and then I was just sick of it, and I took a long break. I took a break from 2010 to like 2014, and then went back and then finished finally in 2016. So next year will be 10 years since I graduated, which is crazy just to think about. But I went to 2 universities, and then eventually graduated with a degree in IT.
In IT. So you do know a lot of computer stuff and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty decent with technology. People do come to me, but now it's amazing. And again, I might be skipping ahead, but it's amazing how once you put away former things, like how bad you kind of get with it. Except for like this technology, but like the stuff that I used to do for my work, I barely remember. Like it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. Like you forget about it. So.
It's insane now, especially with now the technology revolving every year. Like just a few months ago, what the technology was. Just think about this, like ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a tool that everybody uses, right? But it's evolving daily. Honestly, like it changes daily. There's new things coming out, new updates. What you could do 3 months ago, you actually could do it at a whole different level with ChatGPT now. Is that kind of where you're at now?
Yeah, we kind of use it in our business as well too, like especially like when you're dealing with the human aspect or you have a question about something or efficiency. But I do kind of let my partner Alex, because he unfortunately we're working diligently to get him out of his W-2. He works in IT right now as a systems analyst, and I kind of let him take the reins of the more systematized processes and technology. But yeah, it's being able to help be a tool to problem solve, and I look at it literally as a tool, as a resource to be able to utilize to make your business more efficient and save you a lot of time and save you a lot of heartache and growing pains. So it is really amazing. Just like you said, like literally technology changes every year, but now with AI it's evolving even more rapidly for sure.
It's crazy now. With that being said, you mentioned something very important about like the personal development world of this side of the world, right? How important do you think personal development actually is?
Of the utmost importance. If you're not growing, you're dying. Literally, I take it very seriously. Or if you're growing as an individual, you're growing your mindset, you're growing your people skills, your relationship skills, because in the world that we're in, this is not just a real estate based business. This is a relationship based business backed by real estate, because no one's going to work with you if you're hard to work with, period, in the story. So personal development, I'll leave you with this final quote. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. They say the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement.
Man, that's insane. I love that saying, man. And it's crazy because now that you say that, I was actually watching a video the other day of a guy walking through like the graveyards, right? And he was talking about this here is where the most billionaires are. He said because a lot of people in the graveyards is actually a lot of like ideas died there, right? There's a lot of people that actually thought like, hey, I'm gonna bring this to the world and never actually executed it. But now someone else found the idea and executed on it, and now it's $1 billion business, right? $1 million business, whatever the case might be. And it's so important for everybody to understand that your ideas matter, right? Let alone putting the execution behind those ideas to actually make them grow and be better. So with that being said, when did you actually step into real estate? How long ago? Like 100%, I'm all in kind of a person.
It was when I joined Gator. So my brief story, and I was crazy enough to join Gator and sub 2 within the same week. That's when I knew I was fully committed. And I saw, like you said on YouTube, I saw the 20 list video between Pace and Jerry Norton. And I was like, I already had a good understanding of real estate, and I joined another mentorship that it doesn't even pale in comparison to sub 2 and what this community is. That's when I knew. I was like, let me go ahead and invest into this because I already had some baseline of real estate and I understood credit. And I was like, oh, I can leverage my credit to be able to make more money within real estate. Oh, that's a bet. That's easy. That's a no-brainer. So actually, what's today? The 13th. In like 2 weeks, I'll be celebrating right around my 2-year anniversary of like fully committed, fully invested in this community in real estate.
Wow. And when you say you're fully committed, fully invested, like what does that really mean from your perspective?
It means as far as I don't have any other distractions. If I give you a little bit of background, I have a friend of mine that's in Ohio from my previous mentorship. I don't know if you've ever heard of this term, Zeke, as far as like they say like, oh, the average millionaire has like 7 streams of income. Well, I was day trading. I had a Turo business. I had a book business as far as like an online book that one of my other partners had introduced me to. I had a credit repair. So had all those kind of distractions. And one of my friends was like, bro, he was like, you need to focus on one thing and stick with it. And then that's what I kind of cast everything to the side. And I was just like, you know what? Let me be fully of one mind and one commitment and one heart to fully stay committed to real estate too, because this community is already a lot, let alone me dragging the baggage from other stuff that I was already doing. So it's literally sharpening your focus and honing your focus on one thing until that thing is done, or until you've mastered that thing, and then move forward. And then you can obviously automate it or put other people in place to help you run that.
That's super important, right? Because like you said, there's so many distractions on the world. It's crazy just to think about this because people, like, the more come out, the more distractions there is. Let me give you context to this. So back in the day, I remember there was only like one social media platform, right? And everybody lived in that one platform. And then they added another one, right? I remember it was like Facebook, and they added Snapchat, and then they added Instagram, and then the more platforms there is, people actually download them, and the less time they spend on each platform, which is good, but it's bad because now you have 10 different distractions versus one big distraction, right? And it comes down, you can reverse engineer it when it comes to businesses, works in the same way. One person can have 10 businesses, but they're not giving 100% to one business, right? They're giving that 10%, that 5%. Reality is they're giving less time to that one specific thing. And they never tend to scale, right? They can grow a business slowly, but they don't scale it. So how has that helped you in your personal life now? that you got rid of all the distractions, you're 100% full in real estate. How has that changed for you?
It's gotten us more efficient and being able to do things in less time. And I think like paying our dues as well as just staying consistent, staying persistent as well too kind of folds into that realm too, right? To where we're just doing the what I like to call the income producing activities. Literally, if it's not the activities that directly relate to you getting a result or your intended result, if that's sales, if that's dollars, if that's impact, whatever it is, then you don't need to be doing it, or you need to be outsourcing it. So, or letting somebody work in their operation of excellence or their zone of genius. So, yeah, it's to kind of tell you where we are. We are, I think, it's May 13th. Squad Up happened the end of like the beginning of April, and we had like 30 transactions that we're looking at, and we're about to finally have our first couple as far as go under contract to be able to get funded. So literally, that's what I guess laser focus does for you.
That is awesome, man. So with that being said, you've been talking about you have a partner, and you're part of a big team, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's well, in the grand scheme of things, yeah, because it does take a lot of hands. But there's about 4 of us that do the day-to-day, the client-facing roles as well too, and then we kind of operate that with a lot of joy and a lot of passion for what we're doing. Because I like to call us now dream funders. Like hopefully for you, you'll be amongst that to where we'll have a lot of synergies to be able to help fund somebody else's dreams and goals and their vision. So.
That is so awesome. So for all the listeners that don't know what you do or your gate is the gator man or anything like that, give us context as like what exactly you're doing right now. Even break this down the deal that you might be working. I don't know, something where people are familiar to what you do, and if maybe someone could help you or you could help someone in this, you know?
So yeah, basically you could call me. Basically, I'm brokering in the commercial lending space, and we work very closely with different family offices. So we can help anything from as small as a fix and flip for 100K request, literally all the way up to transactions that are worth over 9 figures. So the transaction that's the closest, and I never even thought, and it's amazing when you just be diligent, work with a spirit of excellence, make relationships your focus. Never did I ever thought that I would be helping to fund a sports dome or multiple sports domes, and actually multiple sports domes from completely separate people. So this first transaction is a $50 million transaction. I know that might sound like mind-boggling, and I know it was to me because I never necessarily thought I was immediately worthy of being a part of a transaction, but I know quickly that I am, because obviously it wouldn't keep happening. But like the terms of that deal, like it's gonna end up being a total, I think 12 domes in all different locations. And we got it brought to us by somebody else in the community, and then obviously on our end we're funding it, and we're doing it on a creative structure like a credit facility, basically like a line of credit. So we can handle pretty much anything domestically, from like I said, fix and flips to hotel acquisitions to redevelopments to a sand mine to international transactions as well too. We're looking at helping to do something in Europe. We're looking at doing something in the Bahamas, Jamaica, as well as Puerto Rico. So right now, as far as the tagline, we have more money than deals to be able to fund. So, and then hopefully that once again we'll be able to help you out with your tiny home community as well too, Zeke.
That is so awesome, Bryan. I think, like I'm telling you, man, you guys are gonna change a lot of lives. Especially like I know I'm in this industry because there's a lot of people that want to bring legacy and impact through real estate. But I also know that the people that are going to live in these homes, they're going to change their lives forever, right? We're going to give them an opportunity to either own a home or live in a brand new home. They don't have to, like, they have the peace of mind that they can live in something with no issues, right? And the same thing happens with you guys. You guys are actually building dreams, funding the dreams, right? Literally, you're funding the dreams to make things reality for people to enjoy, people to live in them. People have a peace of mind. I love that. I love where you're going on that. With that being said, how can people understand how did like that mindset shift that you have to have in order to become the person you are now? Because it's a lot different when someone comes to you and be like, hey, I want to do a fix and flip. Do you have $20,000 versus someone who's like, I want to build a sports dome and I need $50 million. What kind of mindset do you have to have, man?
I think it's a more long-term mindset and a more realistic expectation as well too. So there's a couple of things that go into it, whether or not that you have like a team, you have a solid business plan, you have experience, you have credit. You need to have some of those things in place. But guess what? You don't necessarily have to be everything. You can partner up, which this community obviously celebrates and encourages to be able to partner up. Going back to the original part, where else do you have a community or ideology or a industry that promotes such collaboration and we can all win and eat? So I think it's literally having that abundance mindset of community, of building relationships at the forefront of your mind versus, oh, I need to go out and do it all by myself, or, oh, I need to get something from you and not have anything in return. No, it has to be a mutually beneficial relationship, to answer your question. So
yes, I love that. It has to be a win-win relationship, right? And obviously I was actually doing I was going through like a sales training the other day, talking about how to make the biggest impact in any type of transaction, interaction, whatever you want to call it, is it has to make sense to everybody, right? So he's like, whenever you're going to sell something, you have to be the buyer behind it. You literally have to think like the buyer. Don't think like the seller, because if you do think like the seller, it's obviously going to benefit you 100%, right? But if you think about on the buyer's perspective, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the cheap customer? Do you want to be the conflict customer? Do you want to be the high-end customer that buys a high-ticket item and knows that there's going to be fulfillment on the other side? So it's like, who do you want to be? And I think this is so awesome because literally I'm seeing this with you guys. You are being a high-ticket customer, right? To yourself, to the world now. And literally like, you could do this not only in the United States, but you guys are actually looking to do it international. So how does that come in play when you guys are actually doing these negotiations?
I kind of let our funding partner do most of the negotiations, but again, it's literally, like I said, as far as keeping the relationship aspect, and as far as like my first coach used to say, it's about not being a wham bam thank you ma'am. It's about being here for the long haul. It's about being here for multiple transactions. It's about how can I also serve you while also helping myself and other people around all of us. I think that's really the biggest key. And I love how you said that, as far as like, you do have to think with the end goal in mind. Like, it can't be about self-serving. It can't be one way. It can't be all about you, because you're going to go out of business very fast.
Yes. And I think that was one of the reasons that a lot of people are either making it or breaking it, right? It's the people who are breaking it is they come with an intent of just making money and not thinking about what could happen in the long run. And people who are actually living it, working on it every single day, is like they have a different result in mind, right? Like I said, this whole podcast was done because it's not about what the money could do for you, but how you could actually become a legacy creator for your families, for everybody else. Literally, there's people that see real estate as, hey, they're sharky people. They're people that are trying to take over other things. But reality is that people that are in real estate, and I've just seen this through my personal connections, is people who are in real estate, they have a big heart. They're here because they're creators of the world, right? It's kind of like they're doing everything just like God did, right? God was the creator, the founder of everything. He actually made human beings because he knew he needed a species to continue his legacy here on the earth, right? So when that being said, is like, you're literally being a creator just like God did, right? So what are your perspective as far as like building legacy?
I think it's impacting my immediate family, impacting anybody that I touch, all of the friends and relationships that I have and have yet to build. It's literally just blessing other people. Literally one of the first things that I said, as far as like once our first deal was closed, is who can I help bless? Not to give too much of my personal business, but as far as like, I have two particular cousins that I wanted to bless immediately. One that I saw last month, like, he drives back and forth to our family events, and he lives currently in Indianapolis. And the last time I saw him, I didn't know this personally, his tires were bald. I'm like, and then he also has issues with his AC. Like, dude, why are you driving 8 hours to another state with bald tires and a non-working AC? Stuff like that like touches my heart, like that I'm immediately in reach that I can bless him. Hey, like, I want to be able to buy your new car that's working. Just like my other cousin who is going through a tough time with a relationship, and she has a threat of losing her car, and then she has 2 small kids. Like, being able to immediately affect people in that way like gives me pure joy. And then I learned literally a giving spirit, part of a giving spirit, as far as to think bigger, from my first coach, who I reference a lot to. I would love to be able to bless people in secret. Like, that's a huge thing for me. Like, being able to take care of somebody's bills randomly, like, that I know of, or obviously throughout the year, like being able to pay somebody's electric bill or something like that, to be able to have the means of literally impacting somebody. If I'm able to impact somebody, one person, whether I know them or not, that makes a huge difference. And obviously, in the grand scheme of things, everybody wants to be able to have properties, have assets, have things to be able to affect those that are around them. But me personally, I always wanted to be a light on the hill. That's just me.
That is so awesome, man. And something that you just lighted a light bulb with me was the whole reason I started the podcast, the whole reason I'm on social media, right? Because at the first it's like, okay, I can't have a camera right in front of me. I can't talk to a camera, right? But then I like to look at like Pace Morby, Russell Brunson, big figures, Jim Norton, right? Like, all these people started creating content and they changed my life. Literally, it was because of them that my life had an impact. How can I have that same impact with other people? And just like you said it right now, you're impacting people that you don't know. You are blessing people that you probably don't, you don't want to tell them, right? And you're blessing them. Obviously, you can firsthand bless people by giving them something immediately, but I think legacy and impact actually comes from people changing their lives, changing their lifestyles. Because the other day we were talking about how when we go into the gym and you see someone like super ripped, has a 6-pack, you want to be like that person, right? But you turn to the other side and you see someone who's 300 pounds, could barely lift weights, that person wants to be like you. So it's like, that's the reality of the world. Is there's always going to be someone in the low, someone in the middle, and someone in the high. And I think the transition from us going from the low to the high is very, very important and very beneficial for everybody to know, due to the fact that we're all going into that level. And how can we bring people with us to go higher, right? Like, think about this. How many people has Pace helped in his community go over to the next level, right? Now the question is, who helped Pace go to that level? And then who helped that person, right? Now, if you're thinking it on your perspective, is how are you going to be the beginning of that new generation?
It's an awesome question. I think literally just continuing doing what you're doing bit by bit, and then it starts with one person. Because again, you never know who you're going to affect, what level of, as far as encouragement, what random act, believing in somebody, helping somebody out, taking the time out to be on a Zoom call with them, check up on them, following up, which are skills that I like to say that I'm pretty decent at. But because that old saying goes,
you're phenomenal, man. I love the way that you just out of the blue you text me, dude. It's crazy because every time I see a text message from you, it's like, this is so awesome. This is the person I want to be on the follow-up game, you know what I mean? And now look at I've talked to you the first time like literally like a year ago, and now we're looking to do a very big deal together, you know? How can we be more like that, you know?
I think it really goes into intentionality. I know some people are not naturally like that, but it really just depends on what is your end goal in mind, because literally we cannot get out of this life by ourselves in any capacity, whether it's what Danny used to say, we all got to fill out our helps account. We all need help in some way, shape, or form. We cannot all do it all by ourselves. So as a final point, there's a phrase, and you and your viewers can feel free to take this and run with it if you want to. You want a life full of blessings, you need to start handing them out.
100%. Very true. It's literally, it's on the Bible principles. Like, do to others what you want them to do to you, right? It's kind of the same thing. If you want to be blessed, you got to bless people first, right? It's very, very true, man. I love that you bring that out. With that being said, Bryan, I think that a lot of our listeners are going to want to connect with you. They're going to want to be partners with you eventually. How can people get in contact with you, man? Where can they find you? How can they get in contact with the whole team?
I am on Facebook, Bryan Marriot, and then Instagram, Bryan J, BRYANJ 1987. So I'm very active on both platforms. So, and I'm pretty, as you alluded to, or as I alluded to, I'm pretty good with communication. So you reach out, let me know who you are, and text me. I'll reach back out for sure.
That is awesome, guys. And think about this. This is his very first podcast. So if you guys reach out to Bryan and be like, hey, bro, I heard you in this podcast. I want to be part of the movement you're creating. Just let them know how you guys are getting in contact with them. And Bryan, that leads me to my last question. Just like I got connected with you, I know that you have very deep connections with other people. Who would be someone that you would like to spotlight? Maybe someone like you that is not very actively posting on social media, but they're very active doing deals, or someone that we could bring onto the podcast that that would make a big impact for this whole community.
I'm trying to think who besides my business partner Alex, because I know he doesn't like to post, but he brings a lot of value. He's a great guy. I trust him. I like him. We've been partners for going on 2 years now. He's soon going to have a lot more free time on his hand once we get him out of his W-2, because that's a huge thing. He'd probably be a great fit, definitely, as a follow-up to a future episode for sure. And you can follow him on Facebook, Alex Angus, like the beef.
I love that, man. I love that. You could just tell you guys have a deep connection and you guys are doing a lot of things. So let's definitely bring Alex. And I think everybody's going to be super, super impressed with what Alex is doing, having a W-2 job and actually creating the legacy with you, Bryan, right? You guys are combined together, bringing reality into life. I love that, man. Well, I greatly appreciate you coming onto my podcast. And I think a lot of listeners are going to get a lot of value from you. And man, if I could tell you one thing, keep posting on social media, make your social media, blow up. Like I said, you never know who you're blessing with what you're telling them. Appreciate it.
So, never know. Appreciate you back, Z. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Awesome.